If you apply the Flambient technique correctly, you can get very high quality, color correct, sharp images for your real estate interiors that will stand out above lower quality HDR. But Flambient is a pro technique, so it does take time to refine, and understandably, a lot of photographers will want to take an impatient rush to the finish line, trying to take shortcuts that have led to a few common mistakes that unfortunately get propagated throughout social media by other vloggers and YouTubers that just don't provide the same high quality. So what I want to do is set the record straight on the top big three that I see out there making these mistakes, that if you correct these, and I'll show you how in this video, that you can get better quality images by staying on track with true Flambient. The biggest mistake I see photographers make with Flambient is not using the proper blending mode for the ambient shot. If we take a look under the hood, we can see that Flambient relies on what's known as the HSB or HSL color model. While we often think of color being a combination of red, green, and blue, at the core of color is an overarching principle where brightness, essentially luminosity, has an effect on color. I'll revisit this again in a bit, and I cover this in much greater detail in my books on mastering Flambient and mastering color, which, by the way, I have links to down in the description for this video. But let's take a closer look at this. So here we can see a finished Flambient blended image, and let's take a look at the shots that were involved. So I chose this as a fairly complex example since this will really show the extent of some of these issues. So just real quick to go through these layers so we understand as I go through the examples here. At the very top, I've got an ambient shot. It's set in normal mode right now. Underneath of that, then I've got a flash composite. And this is typical, like I show in my lighting guide, where I'm just lighting both sides of the room, and then I use this to edit myself out. In this case, it was this light that was over here flashing on this side. Anyways, that gives me then an even flash exposure throughout a large space like this compared to if I just used one light. Now, if it was a small room, obviously I would just use one light, but we'll see why this composite also comes into play with some of the other issues. Underneath of this then, besides then this single flash light, which will come into play here shortly, I had a couple window pulls, and that was just to, if I needed to, remove some of the flash reflections. For this example, that's not necessary. And we'll revisit all of this here shortly, as these will help explain, these layers will help explain why some of these mistakes are made, problems they cause, and how to do Flambient correctly. So basically, from a high level, when doing Flambient properly, we rely on correct colors from our flash shots. Let's turn off the ambient shot. We can see we have much more accurate colors here in our flash shot. If we turn our ambient shot back on, it's in normal mode, and you can see there's a variety of color issues. It's just riddled with all kinds of colors and color casts, very typical of ambient. You can see that there's a bunch of yellow and orange here. We're even getting green and blue casting on different parts of the paint from outside. So this isn't color correct, but when we take a look at our flash shots, we have more correct color. So instead of the ambient layer, when we do our Flambient blending, instead of the ambient layer being in normal mode like it is here, we want to change its blending mode to luminosity. By doing that, we can see a big difference. Let's go here to before, which was normal mode and all those colors. And then when we go to luminosity mode, we have this. Essentially what's happened is that by changing the ambient layer into luminosity blending mode, its hue and saturation, the H and S out of the HSB HSL model, are thrown away. They're not being used at all. Instead of hue and saturation are being used from the layers below it, in this case, the flash layer. So the ambient layer is only using luminance, not color. However, we don't want to use 100% luminance across here like it's shown here. We only want to use a portion of it. So for instance, here, let's change the layer's opacity down to 50%. And I did that just using keystrokes here on the keyboard. You can see it's at 50%. So this is already starting to look more natural, but we have more correct colors. Even at 50%, if we were to take this from luminosity to normal mode, you can see there's a color difference. So this is normal mode at 50%, and this is in luminosity mode, so much more correct colors. Then of course from this we could add a layer mask. Let's say we just reveal all here on this layer mask, and using an eraser tool, We can then erase out of here what we want. I'm just using a flow of about 30%. And I can erase things that just where the luminance wasn't giving us any favor. So we can do that type of stuff as well. But the key here is that besides using the ambient layer in luminosity mode, we don't want to use all of the ambient. And that brings up the second issue that I want to cover, which is the second biggest mistake I see. And that's relying too much on ambient light to brighten areas where flash doesn't reach. So here I've got the ambient over top of that flash composite, but if we turn that off and we're using just this layer here, which only lit the foreground here, the background wasn't lit. And you could think, well, I've got enough ambient light to do that, and forget about the light over here for just a second to edit that out. If I needed to use ambient to fill that in and relied on ambient to light that far area, I'd have to increase its opacity quite a bit. Let's increase that so I get something that's better lit in that area. But by doing so, I've introduced two problems by applying too much ambient light, especially over where it wasn't lit with flash. The first problem is color inaccuracy, and the other is sharpness. So as with the first item I talked about, when not using the proper blending mode, the HSL-HSB model comes into play once again. Since luminance affects color, if you rely too much on ambient luminance, then your colors will not be as accurate where the more color accurate flash lighting would have reached. So let's take, for instance, the chair in the far end of this room. Let's zoom in here a little bit and take a close look here. So once again here, you can see this is the chair, and if I'm using just right now that darker shot, which was just lit in the foreground. Now, if I were to use my flash composites, which distributed flash lighting, you can see there's a difference in color. And even if you say that, well, it's just a little bit darker, let's turn that off. And let's take this ambient layer and let's take it up to 100% opacity. So I'm 100% luminance on this. If I had my flash shots, I've got this nice tan brown color on that chair and the table, and all that shows nice gold on the stand. But once I go into using ambient to try to correct my flash problems by relying on it too much on that single exposure, then I've got a bigger problem. So I'm losing color back out here. So this is why I prefer, like here, to use those flash composites. By doing simple flash composites, then I can get even lighting throughout the scene so that flash luminance is also out there. Now, this is something I've got a ton of diagrams and examples that I show in my lighting guide. It's a simple thing to do, and you really only need to do it for very large spaces. But if you relied on the ambient layer to do this, well, you would get a washed out look like here. If I had taken that ambient layer and I said, well, instead of luminosity mode, which is going to wash it out, if I use normal mode, then I get a variety of other color issues that are coming in from other various ambient lights. So we need to be able to keep that in luminosity mode for our ambient shot, and we also want to have the proper light distribution, not relying on ambient to do all the hard work for us. And of course, this over top of our flash composites is 100%. I'd only be using about 50% opacity on this. You can see it's really a better looking photo. The colors look accurate. I've got the luminance where I want it. And of course, fixing that window pull like in the far end, that's an easy enough thing to do. I would just do this like I show in the lighting guide, take that layer up to the very top. And I'll just take a brush and I can just tap some of that in there because it's in darken mode, which automatically then brings that out. Anyways, those are topics for another video. They're also covered in my real estate photography series. So the other problem here on the second mistake with relying too much on ambient is that your images will be less sharp and less impactful. Ambient light is, by nature, much softer than diffused flash lighting, which affects what's known as the rise distance that's associated with contrast and subsequent sharpness. Take, for instance, this example. This is an example of ambient contrast between two edges somewhere in an image. And you can see there's a very wide gradient. This results in a wide rise distance from ambient light, so the edges will be soft with a very slow progression across that edge in an image. But if you use flash, the contrast is higher, even diffused flash. It has a much narrower gradient, which results in a more abrupt rise distance and thus a sharper image. These same rise distances are used in sharpness algorithms, which seek contrast within these given rise distance ranges, and then they enhance the contrast on those edges. And that's all that sharpening algorithms do. They just change contrast across edges. So by naturally having higher contrast on edges, your images will be sharper. Since higher contrast comes from flash lighting, images will be sharper wherever flash lighting is applied and less sharp where ambient is applied. The third biggest mistake I see using Flambient is having blown out light fixtures or similarly bright ambient areas that I call ambient artifacts. Now, that's typically caused by not using the proper exposure settings. It can also come from improper Flambient blending. So ambient shots to capture enough luminance to work with later are basically taken at whatever exposure is necessary to achieve ETTR, exposing to the right, where most of the time, the histogram is weighted right of center. Although the flash shots should show a similarly weighted histogram, the camera exposure for the flash shots needs to be adjusted so that most of the ambient light is reduced or nearly eliminated. So this is easy to do if you use a mirrorless camera watching the back screen display in real time, and oftentimes if you're using my default ISO 320 f8, the shutter speed will be around 1/100th of a second, sometimes faster, to knock out the majority of light. So we can see that here even in this example. So let's say that we had our ambient shot here. Let's take that luminosity up to 100%. So if we take that layer up to 100%, we can see that if we had the full mask on, this is blown out up here. Well, I'd erased some of that out of there so I didn't have it, and I could do it over here too. I could take the eraser, and where this sconce is really bright, well, I would erase some of that too. And you can see that it really reduced it from where it was before to where it is now. So some of that is editing, but you can see if I turn the ambient light off, that, yeah, there's just a little bit from flash because this was shot at 1/100th of a second. But let's take a look at a more drastic example. So here in this bathroom, this is so very typical where you take an ambient shot and these lights up here are just so overblown. And you can see I'm barely even reaching ETTR up here on the histogram. Well, but these are so overblown. Now, when I'm shooting this at 1/15th of a second, once again, I'm just adjusting the shutter speed to where I get that ETTR. And in this case, I happen to be shooting at f9. It was a small bathroom. I get a better depth of field, something else I cover in mastering Flambient. So when I take the flash shot then for it, you can see that I'm shooting at 1/200th of a second. I'm at sync speed so that I can knock a lot of this out. I don't have so much ambient light then up here. Now, of course, I edited myself out with this shot, and that's just what I do to repair the mirror. But then when I did the Flambient blending, you can see that I really didn't use any of the ambient light up here. If I did, it would have been completely blown out. So two things here is, once again, you need to make sure that you're using the proper exposure when you go to your flash shot. It needs to knock out that ambient lighting as much as possible. And then the second issue is to be able to make sure that you don't apply the ambient light when you do the Flambient blending in places that are just going to be blowing out those light fixtures. In any case, these are just a few of the top mistakes that stand out when it comes to Flambient, but there is a lot more to it. Above all else is that be patient. Definitely be patient with yourself. Don't try to rush this, and practice. Anything that is at a pro level that will get you very good results does take time to work out. So practice as much as you can at home. Start incorporating this into your real estate photography. It will take you quite a while when you initially start anything that's very difficult, very high end the first time you do it, but over time it will get faster and your quality of your images will get better as well.